For most of my life, I labored and longed to build what I believed was the perfect adult life. A flawless facade, a pristine home that looks like a magazine cover, and a reputation no one could question. I was the picture perfect, good grown up. But behind that polished portrait, I was a profoundly pained, bone tired, and my spirit was crying out. Because I wasn't building a life for myself, I was building a fortress of fear around a little girl who was deeply wounded. The moment I stopped striving to be that good grown up was the moment my true healing could finally begin.
Welcome to Waves of Change. This is my journey of retiring, relocating, and writing what peace means for me. Because you're never too late and your peace is never too far.
For years, my life was a perpetual performance. On paper, I possessed it all. The right title on my business card, the pristinely staged home, a calendar so crammed with commitments, it had to prove I was important. I was doing it right. I was the dependable one, the one who perpetually pulled it all together. I answered emails at all hours. I organized family functions. I remembered the birthdays, did the favors, and I never, ever let them see me sweat. But inside that beautiful life I built, there was a deep, draining, aching void. I'd wake up with quiet dread deep in the pit of my stomach, and anxiety that was my constant, creeping companion. I'd sit in meetings, smiling and serenely nodding on the outside, while a voice inside screamed, listing all the ways I was about to be exposed as a phony, a fraud. Every win felt empty. It wasn't a victory. It was just a temporary pardon from my own internal punishment. Get the promotion, and the relief might last an hour before that voice moved the goalpost. Okay, you did that. Now what's next? You can't stop. You're already falling behind. My mind was ruled by a relentless tyrant of shoulds. I should be more productive. I should be in better shape. I should be happier. I should have had this all figured out. That voice was a 24/7 job with no pay, no vacation, and an impossible boss. Because, to be honest, I wasn't living a life. I was building a brittle case. I was gathering glowing evidence, the job, the home, the friends, to present to an invisible jury, hoping they would finally look at me and say, hey, you're worthy. Now you have to hear this. Hear this good. That kind of relentless race is not ambition. It's a desperate, deep cry for validation. It's a performance for a phantom audience, hoping to finally get the applause you assume you need to feel safe. So many of us are chasing external approval, are dealing with a deep-seated secret belief that we're not enough on the inside. A belief often traced right back to our childhood. I thought that if I could just be perfect, the best good grown-up, then no one could ever hurt me or reject me. What I didn't understand was that in all my performing, the one person I was relentlessly rejecting, the one person I had absolutely abandoned, was myself. The crack in that perfect polished wall I built didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, silent splintering. It was a Sunday night spent sleeplessly staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding with panicky rhythm about the week to come. It was the friendships that felt hollowed and hurried because I didn't dare let anyone see the real, raw, messy parts of me. It was hitting a huge career goal I'd spent years chasing, only to feel nothing, just tired. But the moment it all came crashing and crumbling down was over something so small, so simple, so seemingly silly. I was in the grocery store on a Thursday evening. I just worked a 10-hour workday. A massive, menacing deadline was breathing down my neck. And I was supposed to host a dinner party that weekend that I had zero energy for. I was standing in the spice aisle just looking for cinnamon. I couldn't find it. Looking down, where's the cinnamon? And in that moment, something inside me just snapped. Panic pierced through my chest, hot and heavy. My vision narrowed and I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just frustration. It was pure, primitive terror. A voice in my head screamed, you can't even do this. You can't even find a spice. You're a complete, catastrophic failure. I had to leave my cart right there and stumble to my car where I sat for 20 minutes and simply sobbed, sobbing over cinnamon. But we know it was never about cinnamon. It was about the crushing collective weight of every single expectation I had put on my shoulders. It was about the years of silently swallowing my feelings, telling myself my needs didn't matter, that rest was for the weak, and that my own value was in how perfect I could be for everyone else. When you're taught to bottle up your feelings as a child, you can become an adult who looks calm and collected on the surface, while a cyclone of sorrow and stress stormed inside. That one tiny failure was the crack that brought my whole fortress down. And in my car, under the buzzing of the parking lot lights, a thought came with startling, crystalline clarity. I can't do this anymore. Not just the dinner party, not the job, all of it. The whole painstaking performance of being the good grown-up. And that led to an even bigger truth. All this work, all this striving for perfection, wasn't mending the brokenness I felt inside. It was the poison perpetrating it. And that moment, I finally understood. I wasn't failing at being an adult. I was succeeding at ignoring the wounded, waiting child inside of me who had been begging for my attention my entire life. So who is this inner child I'm talking about? This isn't some fluffy, fleeting concept. It's a core concept in psychology. While Carl Jung spoke of the child archetype as a symbol of our potential failure, the modern therapeutic idea of the inner child was truly brought into the mainstream by teachers like John Bradshaw. He helped us understand that the inner child is the part of your psyche profoundly patterned by the past, your emotions, memories, and beliefs. As children, we have basic biological non-negotiable needs to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. Now, when those needs are met, we grow up with a secure sense that we are worthy just as we are. But for many of us, those needs weren't always met. Maybe our parents were battling their own brutal demons. Maybe we were told to stop crying. Maybe we learned that love was something you had to earn with good grades or by being quiet. Those experiences create wounds that bleed into our adult lives. The need to please, that perfectionism, these are not character flaws. They are brilliant but brittle coping mechanisms a small child creates to survive in a world that feels unsafe. Now, this isn't just a modern psychological idea. It's about letting go of the ego and the need to perpetually prove your worth, and instead embracing humility, truth, and trust, the very qualities a child has before the world teaches them to build walls. That good grown-up costume you've been wearing is a stifling suit of armor you built to make sure the little child inside never gets hurt again. The problem is, though, that armor is now overprotective, that it has locked the living, breathing you away. Healing doesn't come from making the fortress firmer or stronger. It comes from having the courage to finally go inside and speak to the small soul who has been waiting for you the whole time. So how do we start taking down this fortress? This isn't about tossing your responsibilities out the window. It's about shifting your energy from performing for a phantom public to patiently nurturing your private inner world. We call this reparenting. It means you consciously decide to give yourself the love and listening you may have missed. First, we're going to acknowledge and listen. We have to start by admitting this younger part of you is real and its pain is palpable. When you feel a wave of emotion that seems bigger than the situation, that spike of panic that I felt in the grocery store, simply pause. How old does this feeling feel? You don't have to fix it. Just see it. Just say, I see you. I hear you. It's okay to feel this way. Second, get curious, not critical. This isn't about placing blame on anyone. It's about understanding your own personal past with compassion. Get a journal and write a letter to your younger self with the words of comfort you needed. Or write a letter from your younger self and let that child say everything it was never allowed to say. Third, become the parent you always needed. This is active reparenting. It means setting boundaries with people who drain you. It means celebrating your smallest victories. It means when you mess up, you speak to yourself with kindness, not with that cruel, cutting inner critic. You can literally say to yourself, it's okay. You made a mistake. You are still good. You are still worthy. And you must make time for play. Fun is not a frivolous luxury. It's a fundamental, foundational need. When was the last time you did something just for the joy of it? Finger paint, dance in your kitchen, lie in the grass. Giving yourself permission to be unproductive and joyful is a profound, powerful act of love. This is deep, difficult work, and it can feel overwhelming. That's okay. If this is speaking to your spirit and you want to walk this path of self-healing with a community, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. We're all in this healing journey together. And next, you have to wean yourself off the draining drug of other people's approval. Practice in small ways. Make one decision today without asking anyone's opinion. When you achieve something, take a moment and be proud of yourself before you tell a single soul. Say to yourself, I did that, and I'm proud of me. You are learning to become your own anchor in any storm. So what happens when you stop performing and start patiently nurturing? Healing isn't a straight, simple line. You don't become a dramatically different person. You become more of the person you were always meant to be all along. You become real. For me, the biggest change was the quiet. That nagging, nonstop critical voice in my head finally started to lose its punishing power. I can recognize it now for what it is, a sacred small part of me trying to keep me safe. And I could say to it with love, I hear you, but I've got this. Life becomes less about frantic striving and more about feeling and living. I started making choices from a place of, what do I truly want? Instead of, what should I do? I left the job that looked great on paper but was burning out the bedrock of my soul. I started treating rest as my divine, deserving right, not as a reward I had to earn. I found out that I could be a responsible woman who pays her bills on time and a person who takes the whole afternoon off to do nothing but watch the clouds. My relationships changed too. When you stop pretending, you start profoundly connecting. When I finally let myself be vulnerable and say, I'm not okay today, I found that the right people didn't run away, they moved closer. Real intimacy is built on the truth, not a painstaking performance of perfection. The goal isn't to get rid of the adult. The adult is wise and wonderfully keeps you grounded. The goal is to create a loving family inside of yourself, where the compassionate inner parent patiently cares for this precious, vulnerable inner child. This allows the whole integrated you to walk through the world with both wisdom and wonder. Life is messier now, for sure. It's not as perfect, but it is finally, fully, and beautifully mine. We've all been told that the way to be worthy is to hustle harder, be better, be busier, to build a life that looks perfect from the outside. But all that dazzling distraction is just that, a distraction from the only destination that truly matters. The journey inward to patiently piece together the parts of us that we were taught to be ashamed of. True adulthood is not about a perfect polished report card. It's about wholeness. It's about having the courage to compassionately meet your own wounds with love, to become the parent to yourself that you always needed, and to finally give your whole self permission to exist, the capable adult, the joyful child, and all the scared parts in between. The most grown-up thing you will ever do is to stop being a good grown-up and start the sacred, steady work of being a kind, patient, and present human being to yourself. You do not have to earn your worth. You just have to turn inward and reclaim it. If this resonates with you and you want to continue this journey, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss what's next. And I'd love to build a caring community here. Share one small, simple thing in the comments that you will do this week to nurture your inner child. Hey y'all, I'm Vanessa and this is Waves of Change. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, You're never too late, and your peace is never too far.